All right, royal watchers, buckle up, because today we are going behind the scenes of the recent royal tour and diving deep into a topic that's got everyone whispering, King Charles's health.
Yes.
Our primary source, a juicy article from the Daily Beast titled, Queen Fears for Charles After His I Hope to Survive remark.
It is quite the title, isn't it?
It's a doozy.
Yeah.
Intrigued.
I think people should be.
You should be.
What we're dealing with here is this fascinating clash between what it demands to be a monarch and a very human health battle.
Right.
The king just wrapped up this tour of Australia and Samoa, all while undergoing weekly cancer treatments.
I know, it's wild.
Now, that's dedication, but is it too much?
Exactly. And it's a comment that he made in Samoa that has really set the rumor mill churning. During his farewell speech, he said, and I quote, I shall always remain devoted to this part of the world and hope that I survive long enough to come back again and see you. Seems innocent enough, right?
On the surface, maybe. But consider the context,
Yeah.
the ongoing cancer treatments, the grueling travel schedule. This wasn't just a throwaway line.
Right.
It revealed a vulnerability, a very real concern about his own mortality that's resonated with people.
And the article really zooms in on Queen Camilla's reaction.
Yes.
They describe it as emotional,
Oh.
with her flitting between laughter and tears.
Wow.
Her friends are apparently terrified for Charles,
Oh, no.
worried he's pushing himself too hard.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the pressure she must be under?
I can only imagine.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's particularly striking because it contrasts sharply with how some of the king's friends have downplayed the remark.
Yes.
It almost feels like there's a deliberate attempt to project strength and stability, despite the very real anxieties behind the scenes.
It's two different stories.
Right. And let's not forget how the British media tried to spin this whole thing.
Oh, yeah. How did they spin it?
They called it a fit of giggles,
A fit of giggles.
caused by a microphone issue.
Oh, come on.
Please,
It's so disrespectful.
don't mind. People aren't buying it for a second.
Good.
There are even photos circulating
Really?
that show potential side effects from his treatment. Chapped lips, swollen hands, things you can't exactly hide.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So it's like there are two competing narratives here.
totally.
The official line, everything's fine, business as usual.
Yep.
And then this undercurrent of worry and concern
Oh, I
just bubbling up, fueled by these glimpses into the king's actual condition.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to move on to the next part, because I think we should talk about his schedule next.
All right, let's do it.
So we'll be back in just a moment.
Okay, sounds good. And this brings us to another point of contention.
Okay.
The king's schedule. The article mentions that Palisades are already briefing newspapers about a full program of international travel for him next year.
Hold up, a full program. But he just got back from this physically demanding tour during cancer treatments.
Exactly.
Is anyone even considering the toll this is taking on him?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Right.
The article highlights concern among the king's medical team,
Yeah.
especially since they weren't even consulted
Oh, wow.
before these travel plans were announced.
That's crazy.
It makes you wonder who's really calling the shots here.
Yeah.
Is it the king pushing himself to fulfill his duties, or are palace officials prioritizing appearances over his health?
And then there's the whole COP environmental summit situation.
Oh, right.
He skipped it to recover.
Yeah.
But was that his choice or his doctor's orders?
It's hard to say for sure.
It's hard to say.
But it definitely raises questions about whether the monarchy can truly function with the king undergoing such intensive treatment.
Yeah, it really does.
Think about it.
Right.
The monarchy thrives on tradition,
Uh-huh.
on a certain image of strength and continuity. But how does that image hold up when the monarch himself is battling a potentially debilitating illness?
It's like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole.
Yeah.
This isn't just about one man's health.
No.
It's a potential turning point for the entire institution.
Precisely.
Wow.
And we can't ignore the historical context here.
Okay.
There have been other monarchs who have dealt with health issues,
Right.
but the world is a very different place now.
For sure.
The media scrutiny is relentless.
Totally.
The public expects a level of transparency that
Yeah.
previous generations never had to deal with.
So how do you reconcile those competing pressures?
That's a good question.
The need to maintain this mystique of the monarchy while also acknowledging the very human reality of a king battling cancer.
It's a dilemma with no easy answers.
Yeah.
And this is where public perception becomes incredibly important.
Right, because you have the official narrative, the carefully curated image of a strong, dedicated monarch.
Yep.
But then you have these cracks starting to show.
Yeah.
The king's own words, the queen's emotional response, those telling photographs.
Right.
It's almost impossible to ignore.
And those cracks are widening the gap between the idealized image of the monarchy and the very real, very human struggles playing out behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's a gap that could ultimately undermine the institution itself.
That's a really good point. It's like we're watching this slow-motion collision between the monarchy's need for control and the very human story unfolding right in front of us.
Yeah.
They can try to manage the narrative all they want, but they can't erase the reality of what's happening.
And that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Because this isn't just a PR challenge for the palace. It's a potential turning point for the monarchy as we know it.
So what does this mean for King Charles? Yeah. For the Queen? For the whole institution?
The article does offer a glimpse into that.
Okay.
They quote King Charles' stepson, Tom Parker Bowles, from an interview he did with People magazine. He said, and I quote, "It's a terrifying disease when someone close to you gets it. It's a very worrying thing."
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking, honestly.
It is.
And it really brings home the human toll of this whole situation.
It does.
Yeah.
It reminds us that beyond the titles and the ceremonies, this is a family facing a deeply personal crisis.
And it's not just Parker Bowles' words that are revealing.
Right.
He also specifically mentions that Queen Camilla supports him in every way.
Yeah.
You can just feel the weight of that responsibility. You know,
absolutely.
The constant worry and the need to be strong for Charles, all while navigating the pressures of being queen.
It's an almost impossible balancing act.
Totally.
And it really underscores the fact that Camilla's role in all of this is crucial. She's not just his wife. She's his confidant, his support system, and potentially the person who has to make some very tough decisions about his future and the future of the monarchy.
So where do we go from here? What happens next?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is.
The answer, I suspect, lies in how the king himself chooses to navigate this uncharted territory.
Yeah.
Will he try to maintain the traditional image of a stoic, unyielding monarch? Or will he embrace a more modern, transparent approach?
Right.
Acknowledging his vulnerability and allowing the public to see him as a human being facing a very real challenge.
It's a choice that could define his reign.
Absolutely.
And potentially reshape the monarchy for generations to come.
And it leaves us with a final thought-provoking question.
Okay.
Does the monarchy need to adapt to the realities of a king undergoing cancer treatment, even if it means a less visible and active monarch?
Well, that's a good one.
What does that mean for the future of the institution?
That is the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a fascinating dilemma and one that we'll continue to explore as this story unfolds.
Definitely.
But for now, we want to hear from you.
Yes.
What do you think the future holds for King Charles and the monarchy?
Let us know.
Head over to the comment section and tell us. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe to The Deep Dive for more deep dives into the topics that matter.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for joining us.